What's up, everybody? It's H3 Podcast. Friday, June 10th. We have a special episode here today on this After Dark. We're, of course, joined by my wife, Hila, who we love so well.
Thank you.
And a distinguished guest is with us here today, Chelsea Manning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm very interested in your story and everything you've done, and I look forward to having talking about a lot of stuff with you. So thanks for being here.
Nice. Thanks.
Before I get started from the beginning, it is Friday, so we have to say hello to.
It's great, motherfucker. Fuck me. Fuck me.
Okay, fuck. It's Friday, baby. Ow!
Friday. Ooh, I'm chugging a soda.
Oh, you got a root beer? No White Claws yet?
Bart's the best, motherfucker.
Okay.
And who's the weekend, motherfucker?
Let's fucking go. Ow! He loves Friday. He loves the weekend. Who doesn't? What's going on with the Barks root beer? You're not. Oh shit! He's chugging it.
Oh my god.
Oh, we got a root beer chug from Gabe. No way, dude. You are gonna be so fucked up this Friday. He's dripping.
That
Whoa!
Oh my god.
He's got to get the drips in. Wow, how was that? No,
is there?
no, 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 not a second one, Gabe. Don't do it. Oh my God! Someone handed Gabe another Barks root beer. Oh, he's struggling from off screen.
Who's that mysterious
Yeah,
hand?
Gabe is just wow. He is going off this Friday. 2 Barks root beer chugs, man. That is legendary.
That counts.
That one's clean. You know, people talk about the Sprite challenge. What is that? Gabe just... Is there a third one, Gabe? Yeah, don't do it. It's not worth it, Gabe. Don't do a third one. Oh,
What?
wow, okay.
Oh my god.
Ooh, feels good.
Woo! Fuck, baby. How's your stomach feeling after that? Chelsea, where were you born?
I grew up mostly in the Midwest until I was about 11 or 12. I think it was 11 whenever I moved out with my mother because my father's American. He was in the Navy.
You're a dual citizen?
I am, yes.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
That used to get you into EU. It doesn't anymore.
After I moved back with my father, he remarried, and I was a little different as a kid, right? Because I was like living as this sort of this like gender non-conforming, twinkish boy mode kind of I didn't really know that I was trans. Like I kind of knew that something was going on, but I was just like, goth, rebellious, or whatever. She did not like me, and so after I turned 18 and he was no longer liable, to have
Legally.
to hold me, she basically told him to kick me out of the house. So
Wow.
then I lived houseless, and of course, me being a rebellious, pain in the ass, kid, I enlisted in the army, and I also knew that this troop surge was going on, so the army was where people were needed. So I enlisted in the army.
You enlist, you do. How was boot camp for you? I mean, just right out the gate, because.
How long
I think
is
basic
it?
training. I had
how
I had like a nerve injury on my right arm and left foot.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about it more in my book. There's the plug right there.
Hey guys, there's a book coming out for sure. Book is coming out. Something to look forward to towards
Yep.
the end of the year. Right?
Working on the title. I think it's Read Me. I think that's gonna be the title.
Read me.
Yeah.
It's a command.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also like it's an important thing because it's like a file in the story. It's about reading.
Double.
Yeah.
Double.
So,
Love that.
but yeah, like, yeah. So basically, I was working with computers and doing data science, and that was my role, and that was what I did.
Did they ask you what kind of role do you want, or did it just
Yes.
happen?
So
like that?
you get to pick your military occupational specialty,
Okay.
or MOS, before you enlist in the army.
And you crunch basically data to.
We Google.
You Google shit? Is that right?
Well, it's we do what Google does, which is just collect data and do analysis, right?
So you get a bunch of data from the military, and basically they say, let me just
do math.
Oh, it's math. So, but like, what kind of stuff would you put in there, or like,
It can be anything. I mean, stock tips. You want to put stock, you want to put the stock market into there. That's how the earliest stock market models were.
But I mean, like in Iraq, what was like the most common thing that you would analyze?
Like how does it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, well, I mean, I can't get into the specific data, but generally, it's people, places, locations, times, like certain criteria.
You just try to find patterns.
Yeah, there's pattern analysis.
Okay, I see. Were you closeted at the time?
I was.
You just kind of don't ask, don't tell.
Don't ask, don't tell. At this time, I mean, it was I would say 2008. Before I went over into Iraq, in 2009, I would say that I started to become more aware of the idea that there might be a period of time in which there isn't a don't ask, don't tell, in which I don't have to hide this from my, because it seems silly to like hide something that everybody knew.
Okay.
So it wasn't like it was not as serious in 2008 as it was in the 90s.
That's great.
Interesting.
But trans stuff was a different matter.
Okay.
I started that, and that started to kick in for me while I was deployed. I was like, because I was doing things like cross-dressing and trying to explore this new thing quite a bit more, and that was a bit more difficult.
I see.
You couldn't get around that. That one was not.
People were not understanding.
Yeah, and
that.
I think that was where I started to feel more frustration and more sort of distance and more alienation.
You're basically working with a bunch of analysts, and basically, at what point do you start thinking like, start having kind of like gender.
Well, this has been ongoing. This has never stopped.
But you had mentioned that it got really bad when you were deployed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely becoming more marked and more of a significant sort of thing as I was, and then it continued on because like we're not going to get into the 2010 leaks themselves, but we started to, but I got arrested obviously for a big leak. Which the contents of which I cannot discuss.
Sure.
Under non-disclosure agreement existing to this day from 2007.
Yeah.
Which has made writing a book very difficult, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Getting it through the publication process has caused a significant amount of delay. We did go to the government for permission because we don't want to get sued out into oblivion.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And unlike someone like Edward Snowden. Who lives in Russia. I live in the United States and I have to pay taxes.
Right.
I've got the IRS, so I can't play around. So yeah, we've been very careful with sort of writing the book, but yeah, by the time I got into the prison system, it was clear. Like I was like, yes, this is important to me. I'm trans.
Interesting.
I know what I need.
You were the first military person to undergo like hormone therapy and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's very interesting.
They did not let up on the hair.
That's
They're like,
really?
you can get hormones, we can give you makeup, we can give you all these different things. We can give you all these.
But not the hair?
But hair, no. They did not want to relent on hair.
Well, women in the military can grow their hair, right?
Yeah.
And so I wonder
AR
why.
670-1, baby.
Is that the code?
That's the
What's
code.
the code? Is there like a length regulation?
Yeah, there's a whole regulation.
Yeah.
It changes every.
So why
years.
do you think
Why
it
the
was that they were
hair?
stuck on that one? Yeah.
We have no idea.
Interesting.
All they had to do was do a one-page exception to policy, and they just would not relent.
Do you
I would
it-
think makeup would be more of a
So that's what we thought.
right.
We're like,
yeah.
we expected to not get makeup and to get hair.
Get the hair.
So yeah, it wasn't so much spite with me as spite against like a whole host of different groups of people.
I see. Just general spite.
Obama commuted me at the end of his term, but he commuted me to time served plus 120 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 117 days of the Trump administration. I was like, oh boy.
You thought he might fuck with you?
I mean, it hadn't happened, but this was definitely
It was scary.
unprecedented.
Well, you were facing your full term was like 35 years, right?
Yeah, it was 35 years. I got sentenced to 35 years, so I got 28 years like cut off.
Wow.
And but also the thought of facing down another 28 years if Trump decided to try to do something.
Well, yeah, I was
terrifying.
like, and honestly, till the day I was released, like the morning that I was like in upstate New York, like, okay, I'm out. was I was like, this isn't happening. They're not
Right,
gonna
right,
follow
right,
through on
That's
this.
crazy.
And I remember that like I remember I went through this whole process and actually needed therapy over this, which was like sort of like because like when you're given a 35-year sentence
Yeah.
and you've had time to digest that, 7 years is a pretty hefty amount of time.
Oh yeah.
When you've had time to digest that, you're like, okay,
This is
this
it.
is it. This is it. This is happening. You write all that off in your brain. So like the idea that I was going to be let out and be like be opening up a credit card, opening up a credit card balance or buying or renting an apartment or paying bills, just unfathomable.
Weird, surreal.
Yeah, just so
Yeah,
far.
yeah,
It was so
yeah.
far away that I just didn't even think about it or didn't even worry about it, and I just wrote it off. And then to have that be returned to me
Huh.
was actually a shock to my system,
Mhm.
and that I think is, in my opinion, that's sort of the definition of institutionalization is whenever you
Right.
have accepted sort of that like most of your adult life is written off.
Right.
You have plenty of time to screw around in prison and play video or play Dungeons and Dragons and dice games.
Is that what you did in prison?
I did, yes.
Oh, doesn't sound that bad when you put it that way.
Did you have good friends? Like
I did. Yeah, I had a lot of friends in prison. You again, institutional environment, you develop camaraderie, make
Yeah.
friends.
yeah.
I connected really well with the people that I was there with. We had one very simple and important rule in prison, which was don't ask anybody what the crime is and don't look into it.
Oh, for
you don't-
real?
You don't,
You don't
want
wanna know.
You don't want to know.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Because it makes things a lot smoother and a lot easier when you don't know.
Oh, that's real interesting. But everyone probably knew who you were, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Were
But
you
I-
given a chance to wrap things up, say goodbye?
No, I was. Yeah,
To-
it was
to your
immediate.
fellow
It was
prisoners?
immediate. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they took me. They're like, we're not like.
But you knew the day was coming.
I knew the day was coming, but they put me in a separate unit immediately.
When the commune.
Yeah,
came
they
through?
saw it on TV. Like the prison staff saw it on TV. Like it's in my book, like a whole story about it. But like they saw it on TV and they're like, oh, you're going. We're putting you aside.
Why'd they do that?
I think they just didn't want anything bad to happen to me in the meantime. Like anything,
Interesting.
an injury in the workshop.
If only Epstein's prison guards were as careful with him
Yeah,
as they were
yeah.
with you.
Oh, yeah. It's super suspicious.
That's pretty interesting.
Super suspicious.
How they.
I have opinions on this.
Okay.
Actually-
Somebody who's been incarcerated in both the military and the federal and the.
And I mean, you were a high priority prisoner, but Jeffrey Epstein was a very high priority prisoner.
Yeah,
We can do an aside here. What do you think about that whole thing about how?
murder.
Yeah, murder.
Murder.
You do.
that's
'Cause
that's how a prison murder happens.
Mhm.
I know when it happens. I'm not gonna say like some of the sad stories from prison where we know bad stuff happened because like it's like how do you prove it as an inmate? But and some of these stories are in my book. But yeah, like definitely.
Because it's like
super like it's definitely like oh yeah I'm just like that's suspicious.
the cameras were off.
That's
the
how you do
guards
it.
weren't
That's
on.
how you do it. If you
You've
want
seen it
to get rid of
happen.
somebody in prison, that's how you do it.
The guards do that kind of thing.
That's all they do.
They
Really?
just fuck with people.
Yeah, they fuck with people. I mean,
Are they sick?
imagine this. Imagine you're sitting there and your job is to watch inmates for 12 hours.
Mhm.
And you're just sitting there
Bored.
tossing your piece of paper or whatever. Like, of course you're gonna screw with us. Like we're like, and we're not, and like nobody listens to inmates. Nobody, I want to say this real fast because I'm really passionate about this, and that is, I've been asked a lot. People often ask me a lot, was it scary being in prison, or how are people in prison? And I just gotta say this, time and time again, the most violent and dangerous people in prison, without question, were prison guards every single time. And this was military, civilian, state, federal, just endless amounts of fear and anxiety of the arbitrariness and the sort of lack of of consistent expectations of what a CO or a prison guard or somebody who's watching or a correctional officer of any variety was going to do, and the senior staff as well. And it's like it haunts me to this day because like I don't associate like somebody who's like in a prison uniform with like a threat. Whereas like I see somebody like in a CO uniform and I'm like, ooh.
You have a little trauma
Yeah.
left over.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So sad.
There are the prison guards who are goody two shoes. They care about their job. They really, they really think that they're doing a good, they're doing a service or whatever.
And they're fair to you guys,
And
prisoners.
they try to be fair.
Okay.
That's a high attrition rate. That's a fast turnover rate.
Right.
of
Makes
people.
sense. Yeah.
Then there's there's the prison guards who look the other way at the bad apples, right?
Okay.
They're like, I'm just doing a job. I'm cutting a paycheck. I hear no evil, see no evil.
They're not sadistic. They're just here to work.
Right, but if they see something that's sketchy, they will look the other way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then there's the people who are absolutely sadistic. They will do the worst kinds of things. They will play games. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. And they get away with it, and nobody will question. And then the worst part is that other third of people who look the other way, just don't do anything, and they don't say anything. A person having a mental health crisis saying, "I'm having a dark time. I'm not doing so good right now. I need to see somebody," and the just absolute disgust or disregard. And then placing that person in a more dangerous situation, right? Putting them in a cell alone with sort of bootlaces or something, right?
They're like, do it.
Yeah,
essentially.
And then whenever somebody follows through with it, they're just like, oh well, we didn't know, and the cameras weren't on.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it's just extremely dark.
Wow.
It's like 25% of the world's prison population is in the United States, and often voiceless, often not unseen, often forgotten about. Even by people who really do care and really do want to focus on these issues because of just sort of the way we've sort of focused on stuff. Because we focus on stuff because we can see whenever there's police brutality that happens on a cell phone camera. We can see when that happens. But when it happens in a prison, there's no cell phone.
Yeah, I think the prison system is one of the most, in America now, it's one of the biggest problems we have as a society. I mean, the way that it's privately owned, that there's a financial interest in keeping people in prison for as long as possible.
Absolutely.
And also there's a profit motive, so the conditions are going to be horrible.
Yeah, the prison industrial complex.
It's a fucking nightmare. It really is. It seems also that people are just getting, do you think in general people are getting over-sentenced? They're going to prison for too long. You said that you could change in 5 years.
Yeah.
You think, I mean, 35 years is insane almost for any crime. Do you
think? I'm a very different person than I was at 22. Very different.
Yeah, I mean, 22, you're still a kid. In all honesty,
Yeah, when I came out of prison, I was like, oh yeah, I'm way different.
That's very interesting, though. It seems like throughout your military and prison experience, where you would expect people to be kind of more traditional or masculine, that they were accepting of either your gayness or your transness.
Yeah, I think that military people, at least in that time frame, get a bit of a bad rap, in terms of
that's encouraging.
Yeah,
at least.
I mean, or maybe I'm just so, or maybe I'm just so skewed in my mentality that I see, that I haven't really encountered it, or I don't see it as much because but yeah, when I see it happen to somebody else though, I get defensive.
Was there something specifically?
No.
That happened where you're like, I need to whistleblow.
It was there was an ethnic cleansing going on between Sunnis and Shias. There's sort of a ratcheting up of political rhetoric across the political spectrum in Iraq. It was looked the other way. The United States government essentially picked a side and said, okay, these people are more likely to win. They might not be better. They might not be more democratic, but and they might be using autocratic means and methods to win, but we're going to back them because they serve our security.
So can I ask you, this is the kind of stuff that was on your mind during your service?
Yeah.
I see.
I think so, because
you're like, this place
I
is
believed.
We were going there to stabilize and help. I mean, this country was fucked up.
Yes.
Because of us.
Yes. And we were making it worse. It's very rarely discussed or
Don't they estimate that 500,000 Iraqi civilians
I don't think we'll ever know.
It's insane.
It's unfathomable.
I mean, it's insane.
I'm a very technical person. I'm a STEM lord, and I'm super into, technology and math and computer science and all of these other things and artificial intelligence, and I'm just doing number crunching, right? And I just couldn't do the number crunching anymore. I couldn't.
You felt just
exhausted.
Just too much. It was emotionally exhausted.
And I learned so much about people and the region and what was going on the ground every day that I was just like, you know, I sort of feel like a connection or an empathy or an affinity.
Did you
that
feel
you're not supposed
guilty at all?
Yeah, I feel, you know, I talk about it more in my book, just sort of how I feel about my role, my participation.
You're right.
Yeah. There were 3 drafts that I went through, and I went through, and it was like, there were times whenever I couldn't look at the screen because I would have an anxiety attack.
So the book is basically just like an autobiography?
There were times when I was like, this book sucks, and I was
Yeah.
just throwing sheets of
Really?
paper.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you were doing that with the information you had when the New York Times didn't want it to. So I'm sure the book is going to be amazing.
So I am a contractor for a privacy company called NIM, which is privacy, but which is like a privacy technology, like, you know, Tor, you know, like, and VPNs and things like that. It is a forward-thinking technology and sort of looking forward over the next 20 years and sort of the needs of anonymization and encryption and
It's
securing.
crypto in a completely different way? Or
Yeah, so it's more
crypto in a
private.
similar
It's
way?
privacy focused. There is a blockchain component to it, which is like the part that makes people cringe. But I'm like, well, this is blockchain technology is like, this is not scam NFTs. This is not. Nobody's gonna be making like, this isn't Bitcoin. Like, nobody's gonna be hoarding tons and tons of this stuff. It's simply a sort of management system, a way of managing sort of nodes across the network or whatever to truly decentralize things. Which, you know, I understand the skepticism of that because I am not a crypto bro. I am not. I am not into this stuff. The most asked question of 2021 was, what is an NFT and what is how does cryptocurrency work, right? And I was like, okay, I'm asked this question so much. There's obviously a demand for this, and I looked for people to try to talk about this stuff, and everybody's talking about the market.
Right.
Everybody's talking about like burning down of rainforests, which all this stuff is true, but nobody's boiling it down to the most interesting part for me as a technologist, which is the math. Which is how this, like, why is cryptography a basis of this technology? And I get into that, and sort of how that connects to science, technology.
So when can we expect that? That sounds great.
I've redone filming and production because I didn't like the first version.
Oh, I see.
I've
been
was
there.
Like, yeah, I saw the first version. I was like, okay, I learned how not to do this, and I learned what, you know, it was a learning experience for me. But yeah, so I'm filming this weekend, in fact.
Okay.
In New York again. I'm back to filming portions of it. So we're in the production phase. And mostly we're just sort of rehashing on stuff. So I'm thinking that by the end of summer, but I said by the end of summer last summer.
What is your favorite anime? The people are wondering.
Oh, that's a good question. Because
Really?
I'm actually torn a little bit with my animes. Because Death Note is very high up there.
Death Note
I
is
love
pretty
that.
good, but in my opinion, I won't
But
say
I've watched it
overrated.
recently.
Yeah, I won't say overrated, but yeah.
I've rewatched it recently, and I've realized that it fails the Bechdel test enormously, which as a trans woman kind of bothers me.
This test is a measurement of the representation of women in fiction.
Yep.
It asks whether a work features at least 2 women who talk to each other about something other than a man.
Wow.
That's it.
Yep.
All that has to happen is that 2 women have to talk to each other about something other than a man.
Morbius fails.
Of course it did. Morbius fails in every aspect. Yo, a whole Marvel Lord of the Rings trilogy? The whole trilogy?
Are you serious?
That's written. They stuck with the book, and it's true. We didn't fail the Bechdel test today.
No. In fact, not even close. Yeah. Not even close.
We didn't talk to each other about just a man. So
Yeah, did you guys mention a man to? I don't think so.
I don't think it matters.
There you
Who's this fucking guy?
go. So the book is coming out hopefully this year, beginning of next year.
Yeah.
And we are going to be standing by, very excited to read it. And we also look forward to your YouTube series that's coming out.
Yep.
Hopefully soon, right?
Yes. Oh,
You're
I
on
have so many things.
Twitter, you're on Instagram, you're
Yeah,
on Twitch.
I'm on Twitch, or I was on Twitch. I haven't done a Twitch stream since November of last year.
Is it
I will be streaming again once I probably towards the autumn.
Such a pleasure and honor to have you.
It's great to be here. I'm
Thanks
a big
for
fan.
yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing. You know all those.
And you're a victim of cancel culture.
Yes.
I want you to know
say
that.
it from the rooftop. Say it.
As a free speech advocate.
Thank you. Amen.
Let this man go.
When will I be?
Let him
free?
go off the rails.
Thanks, guys. See you on a
Thank
great
you.
weekend. All right.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Ta-ta. Woo. Fuck yeah, baby. Ow, ow, ow.
We podcasting now. You're watching H to the 3.